Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wajazallahu anna Muhammadan ma huwa ahluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل على.
Sorry. So for this week, we will be just reading the English translation or translating uh Suratul Takwir, which is the
Yes.
eighth first surah of the Quran.
Yeah.
Um, see it on the screen. So to start now, this is another Meccan surah. So if you guys remember from a couple weeks ago, we mentioned that Meccan surahs talk about three things. One is like prophethood, another one is akhirah, right? So this one revolves around the akhirah and things that sort of lead up to it. So signs and such stuff like that. So the so for the beginning of the first ayah, I think I told you guys last week also. Idha means when, but it's comes for future tense in English. Like when is kind of vague. It can come for both the past and future. Um,
Yeah.
so and then shams here means sun, and kuwirat is when something is folded up. So the English
Yeah.
translating it, you would say that when the sun becomes or is folded up. Um, and so
Laptop.
the scholars mention that it's folding up could just mean that it loses its light. So like it's now dull, it's just lightless, like it's just black. And obviously if something like that happens, that's a there's a issue within the cosmos, right? So now so now Allah continues again, he goes from the sun and he continues and he says, وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ. Which so either same. Nujum means stars. It's the plural of najm, right?
Yeah.
And then qadarat means dull. Or you could say that you could say to be like to be fallen, uh, or broken apart. So basically it's saying that the stars would fall and break and their light would disappear.
Yeah.
So it's a similar action to the first ayah. Basically, like if at nighttime you guys ever looked up into the stars or into the sky, sorry, you can see the light of the stars and the sun. And then behind them is like the pitch blackness of the cosmos, right? So without all of that ambient light, it's just pure darkness. Sorry. So next ayah now is وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ. So jibal is the plural of it's mountains. Jabal is the singular of mountain. Suyirat means to move, or you could say like to fly in the air. Um, I believe in the previous surah before this one, a similar ayah came where the mountains will be uh they will be kind of floating as if they were a mirage, like they're just like a blurry thing that's not really there, like an illusion. Um, so it's like that, right? So Allah bring it from the
Yeah.
cosmos, and now He's talking about earthly things, right? So next ayah now is وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ عُطِّلَتْ. So ishar is pregnant camels, specifically pregnant camels. And عُطِّلَتْ means unattended or like ignored. Um, and so you may think like, what does that really mean? Because obviously here in Canada we don't have camels and such things. But it's saying that back in the Prophet's time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Hello.
their vehicles, the way we have Mustangs and Lamborghinis and Jaguars and expensive cars, their vehicles were animals, donkeys, horses, camels. So having a pregnant camel was, I guess you could say, it was an equivalent of having like a Lamborghini nowadays. They were a commodity, right? something that was a valuable item to the Arabs of that at that time. And so a camel that is 10 months pregnant and is close to giving birth is more valued because of the milk and the offspring which she will provide, right? But obviously, when it comes to, the sun losing its light, the stars falling, the, pardon me, the mountains moving on their own, everybody's going to be ignoring that commodity, right? And
Yeah.
you see sometimes, if you guys ever watch like the news and stuff, sometimes they play movie commercials. You see stuff, I think back, when was it? Years ago, back in 2012, when everybody thought the world was going to end. Remember like the 2012 doomsday calendar and all that stuff? Um, a movie came out at that time called 2012, and they're kind of piggybacking off the off the theory, right? And in the movie, a lot of people were abandoning their cars. People were looking up, in the world was like massive earthquakes in the movie. Everything was going to hell, figuratively speaking. And everybody was running. Although logically, you tell yourself, if you just drive, can go run away faster than if you were actually just physically running, right? But in your mind, you're just like, yo, you just gotta get away. So you abandon everything. You literally abandon everything. And that's kind of what Allah is trying to explain here. Everything is going to be abandoned. Nobody's going to care about anything except for themselves. So now the ayah continues. Or sorry, the Quran continues, and the next ayah is وَإِذَا الْوُحُوشُ حُشِّرَتْ. Um, so wuhush means wild beasts, like,
Well, in
yeah, like, yeah, just wild animals, wild beasts, wild animals. And hushirat means brought together. So animals will flee and join others, right? So meaning that the wild beasts of the jungles, which normally flee from civilization, will be forced to come into the cities and join the domestic animals. And so one scholar mentions that a few years ago, when the Ganga and Jumna rivers were in a flood, people saw their roofs flowing in the water, and on it were humans, sorry, snakes and various other animals. So like nobody cared about attacking one another. Like usually a snake would bite a human or maybe try to slither away. But because of the flood and the enormous, like just the difficulty that every single living thing was going through, they all came together and said, yo, that's crazy right now. We gotta, stick together. And nobody cared about attacking each other like that. Nobody, like just because of the circumstances, everything's gonna be trying to survive. So now the ayah continues, ayah number 6. وَإِذَا الْبِحَارُ سُجِّرَتْ. So bihar means seas. It's plural of bahar, seas. Not seas as in like your eyes, but Ceas. Seas, oceans, lakes, and stuff like that. And sujirat means to boil over, right? Um, so say that the seas are gonna become like a furnace, or like
such a fact.
they're gonna be bubbling. Yeah. Same way you make chai and you see the water bubbling, entire seas are gonna be like that. The next ayah now is وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ زُوِّجَتْ. So nufus, as plural of nafs, just means soul. Um, and zuwijat means joined together, meaning humans are going to be joined together, meaning the unbelievers and the disbelievers, um, good people, bad people, everybody's going to be brought together. So Allah is kind of describing the planes of resurrection, right? That everybody, enemies, friends, foe alike, animals, humans, everything's going to be brought together. There's not going to be like any type of segregation or anything like that, right? Only maybe some segregation would be people that are like pious, that are good people. They'll have their lofty spots, whereas people that are evil and they committed a lot of crimes, they're gonna have their punishments, right? Like we know that one example is people that make wudu. Muslims, when we make wudu, um, then we make good wudu. We're not rushing it and kind of like bum rush it, that our face, our arms, our legs, and everything, they're gonna be lights, right? Like they're gonna be illuminated on Judgment Day. And obviously, people who don't make wudu, they won't have that ni'mah, that blessing. So although relatively we'll be kind of together, but everybody's going to be separated because of their actions, right? So it's, I guess that you could say it's a figurative separation. So the next ayah now is وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. Sorry, not su'ilat. There's no pause there. My apologies. Um,
Suila.
Maw'uda is a female that is buried, like a girl
Daughter.
that is buried. Yeah. And you know that it's female because of the two, the ta marbuta, that signifies that it's a female. Um, Basically just saying a girl child, like a little girl, a female. Why and su'ilat means she will be asked. So it doesn't really happen nowadays, right? But um in the in the uh
Olden days.
in the Prophet's time, a lot of people what they would do is that they would prefer um having sons over daughters, because sons, when they have sons back then, they you say that they left a legacy, right? Like women would go off and get married and they would join another family, while a man, or sorry, a son would grow up to be a man and he would continue on the legacy of his father. So a lot of people would preferred having sons. So in the odd times when they did have females, many people would bury them alive, and it's really difficult to acknowledge, right? So those little girls, Allah's gonna ask them, like, what happened? Why were you buried? And what's actually kind of interesting too, though, is that China, I believe they ended it just maybe 2021, just recently, within the last couple of years. But they started, I think, in the 80s or maybe in the 90s. Um, China had a one child policy, uh, where, like, if a man had his wife, they were not allowed to have more than one child legally. Like if you had two kids or three kids, you're going to jail or getting fined. Um, so many times what would happen to Chinese cultures, or sorry, to the Chinese civilization, is that they did not want females, because females end up becoming like, it's gonna sound bad, but it became a nuisance, because women didn't usually go out to work, right? Women would stay home, become moms, as an example. But men would go and bring in money, and that's kind of what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted money. So for the 20, 30 odd years where the one child policy was going on, uh, the the amount of men increased and the amount of women decreased. So there were more men than women, and it became obviously a massive issue, because you can't have kids without women, right? Like you need both sides. Um, so it was a massive issue, and similar to what I just mentioned, how where Allah mentions how those kids were buried, a lot of Chinese families would actually if they did have a second kid or a third kid mistakenly and end up being a daughter, they would kill the daughter or put them away for adoption, and different things, in order to kind of, one, not to get in trouble, but also two, because they didn't want a daughter, so just try to figure out a way to get rid of it. Um, so history repeated itself from the Arabs and now to the Chinese. So the next ayah continues now. Um, so it's referencing back to the ayah where, when the young little girl is going to be asked, bi ayyi dhanbin qutilat. So bi ayyi means because of what or which, dhanbin or dhan bin, the meme with the noon, means sin, and qutilat means killed. So obviously, when you're buried alive, you end up dying. So I was asking, like, were you buried because you committed a sin, right? When in Islam, we know that people that a murderer, for example, will get a capital punishment and he loses his life, right? So all I was asking, metaphorically, like, did you do like a heinous sin where you deserve this, right? Well, obviously, it was because of people not having mercy in their hearts. So now, and ignorance too. So now the next ayah continues. Um, وَإِذَا الصُّحُفُ نُشِّرَتْ. So suhuf, as we mentioned couple weeks back means scrolls, and nushirat means unfolded. So nowadays we have books. So you open the books, but back then it was like paper, and they just roll it like this, and that became like a scroll. So it's basically just unraveling it in order so you can read it. So it's saying that the scrolls of our good deeds, which will be on our right, and the scrolls of our left, and overall just our life will be open, and we'll be able to, there's no hiding from it, right? We um and the people around us will be able to see like what we did, right? Um, so it's a hectic moment. So continuing now, وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ كُشِّطَتْ. So sama just means heavens or the skies, and kushitat means laid bare. So the book here mentions that after an animal, if you guys, some people nowadays, they go hunting, and they would bow and arrow, maybe shoot the animal, and then they would skin the animal, where everything is laid bare. You can clearly see everything, right? So it's saying that the sky is going to be like that. The sky is going to be laid bare, where everything is seen. There's nothing hidden, right? Because obviously nowadays, like, uh, if there's clouds, you can't see the sun, right? Like that. So everything's going to be open. The next ayah now, number 12, continuing. وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِّرَتْ. So Jahim is a synonym or another name or nickname for Jahannam. Jahim, you could say hell, hellfire, or you could say Jahannam if you wanted to. Once again. And Su'irat means set ablaze. So it's kind of common, that like Allah is preparing it, getting it scorching hot for those who will inevitably end up entering it. May Allah protect us. Pardon me. Um, so Allah mentions Jahim, Jahannam. Now he mentions Jannah in the next ayah. He says, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ أُزْلِفَتْ. So Uzlifat means to be brought near. So Allah is basically just preparing everything. He's opening up, in English, as we say, Pandora's box, and everything is going to be laid out, paired. Jahannam is going to get scorched on, same way you put on a barbecue, get the fire cooking. Jannah is going to be brought close, so those who enter it will have easy access to entering. So it's a serious scenario that will be taking place. And this is obviously in the future, right? Like we Muslims believe that everything, all of this stuff will eventually take place, right? Um, the next ayah now. I don't know if that's looks like that.
إذا أقسم الكنس.
No, just I don't know what confusing me. Anyways, so the next ayah now, number 14. I think there's supposed to be a lamb there, is it not? Isn't it alimat? Or am I bugging out? Anyways, yeah, so alimat, I believe. Alimat nafsum ma ahdarat. Um, so ahdarat means to something like when you bring something, like something that you brought with you. Nafs just means soul once again. So it's saying that the soul will be an alim, like a knower of what he brought forth. Your good deeds and your evil deeds, right? You're gonna be reminded, and you'll be shown what you did. We'll go another two, maybe three ayats, and then we'll take our break for Maghrib. So continues. The ayat continues now to number 15. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالْخُنَّسِ. So, uqsim is, I think I remember, you guys, if you guys remember, it's just a qasam, a oath in Arabic, like wallahi, how we say. So Allah is taking an oath by khunnas, and khunnas is those things that recede. It's kind of vague, but it can really well, I'm not going to get into the tafsir really, but Just so Allah's taking an oath by those things that recede. And then the next ayah is al-Jawaril kunnas. So he says the first is that those things that recede, and then also continuing now, like it's hidden, but he's also taking an oath by those things that kunnas is those things that run their course and set. So you could say it's like the movement of planets, right? Venus, Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, and everything, they rotate, right? They have like it's as if they are moving back and forth, right? So it's saying that this is known, like when planets are in their solar orbit, this is known as running their course. And so um sometimes they stop suddenly and move in a reverse direction, and at times they come close to the sun and disappear for several days, meaning when we look at it, right? So uh I guess you could say Khunnas is referring to the same planets that one day they're gonna recede and go counterclockwise instead of normally clockwise. I'm saying that metaphorically. Okay, we'll do one more ayah, and then which one is it now? Next one is وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا عَسْعَسَ. So layl just means night, and then إِذَا meaning when. As'as means uh for something to spread. So when the night spreads. So Allah's taken by an oath once again. So wallahi, wal-layli, it's similar, right? Because of the wow. So he's saying that I swear by the night when it spreads. Or you could say disappear, spread and disappear. They're both applicable with because of the meaning of as'as. And then we'll stop from there, and then when we jump back, we'll continue from والصبح إذا تنفس inshallah. It is Maghrib, so I just give you an extra. I think Maghrib is at 6:30, but I just gave a little bit more time. So that way you guys can be
Okay.
doing stuff, inshallah.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Inshallah. So we are going to continue. You guys can see me, right? Everything should be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, where were we now, lady? والصبح إذا تنفس. So subha means morning, like just simply morning, and tanaffas means to breathe. So Allah is taking an oath first by the night when it spreads, and now by the morning when it breathes. Um, so you can say this is a metaphorical breathing because like I don't think the I don't think the morning of anything really can breathe the way we as humans breathe, right? But it's really
Yeah.
just like a metaphor. So Shah Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah, he says that um, it is as though the sun is compared to a fish swimming in the sea. Before the sun rises, the spreading of its light is compared to the breathing of a fish. A fish passes by unnoticed in the water, but its breathing causes a motion in the water and displaces the water. Similar is the sun before it rises and before its light can spread. And then others state or are of the opinion that the breathing of the dawn, meaning the morning, is an allusion to the gentle breeze which blows in the spring at the time of sunrise. That's interesting, actually. So he's saying it's a metaphor, but he said it could also reference the fact of the morning breeze. So I guess he's saying that Allah could possibly be saying that the breeze is the breathing of the morning. Interesting. So continuing now, it says, Innahu, right? Yeah. Ayah number 19. Innahu laqawlu rasulin kareem. So innahu just means verily he. Laqawl. So the lam is emphasis. So it's a double emphasis. Inna means one version of emphasis. The lam is another. So it's double down. Qawl just means like statement or a word, like speech. Rasulun Kareem, that so Allah is saying, verily it is a speech of a noble messenger,
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or you could say uh, a word, however you really want to pronounce it. It says, ذي قوة عند ذي العرش عرشي مكين. ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين. So ذي قوة so ذي means owner, right? قوة means power or strength, might. عند means with, or you could say according to, right? So ذي العرش, same the same, according to the owner of Makin means um we could say mighty, I believe, or powerful. Uh so Dhil Arshi Makin. Wait, hold on, I'm making one set mistake. One moment.
Owner of throne.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. So sorry, so I believe that Quwwatin and Makin um is in Arabic what you would call Mawsuf Sifat. So they're both a they're so Makin is describing Quwwa, I believe. Right. I'm saying that because of the two kasras. So basically, the transition is that possessing strength or owner of strength, of high status before the Lord of the throne. So the quwwa, according in the arshi makin. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So it would be the quwwatin makinin, basically. I believe basically just saying of mighty strength, mighty power in the dhil arshi. Um So Allah is saying how that really it is the speech of the Prophet, and the Prophet has strength, like he has strength to do things. Um, and this is you can say before the Lord of the Arsh, the Lord of the throne. But it's not before him as in it's like in front of him, but rather it's like as I said, that's why I use the word according to. I hope you guys can see me. It's getting kind of dark. That's why I said it's according to, right? Um, or by, right? By. So just once again, possessing strength or owner of strength of uh of high status before the Lord of the throne. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's like so that's what I thought. So Makin you could say means would mean high status. Yeah, yeah. So it's Makin is describing who I believe. Or it's just another synonym. Anyways, so continuing. So continuing. Muta'in thamma amin. So muta' means obeyed by all, um, or just obeyed. And thamma amin, you can just translate it as trustworthy or and trustworthy. That he is obeyed by all and trustworthy. So it says that the ayats that we just went over, they are a few attributes of Jibreel, alayhi salam, the angel, or in English Gabriel. So he says the verses above relate some of the attributes of Jibreel, alayhi salam. And this means that the Quran, which has reached us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has come to us through two intermediaries. One is the angel Jibreel, who has brought down the revelation, and the other is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sallam.
So the attributes of both are such that after learning of them, there can remain no doubt whatsoever as regards the authenticity of the Quran and the fact that it came from Allah, because it came from two noble beings, right? One
No.
from the Prophet, and then other like above him will be the angel, right?
Yeah.
So now continuing. وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ بِمَجْنُونَ. Um, So when the Prophet was, you know, teaching everybody about Islam, okay. Sorry about that. So when the Prophet was, in Mecca and teaching the people about Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people would call him names. One would be Majnoon, which means like a madman, like insane. Like sometimes you see people that are talking themselves like they're just lunatics. They would call him a magician, so a madman, a magician, or also in English they call it a soothsayer. And they also called him, basically they slandered him and and described him as being a man who just wanted wealth. So he was just looking for an opportunity to gain power. Huh. Pardon me. So Allah is defending him. So it says, وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ. So sahib is companion. Ma means you could say is not. So it says, and your companion, صاحبكم بمجنون, is not a madman. Um, so Allah is defending the Prophet, right? And the Prophet was
Mm.
about 40 years of age, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he became a prophet. So the 39 years prior to that, when he was a little kid and he became a teenager and then an adult, then he got married at the age of 25 to Khadija. For all of those 39 years, he was never a madman. He was Amin, right? People, just as
Yeah.
I said before, people trusted him, and people knew that he was a man who never lied. Yet now that he's coming with the same information, or sorry, new information, now he obviously randomly became a madman. Not obviously, suddenly became a madman. How is that? So Allah is describing the illogical inaccuracies in the Quraysh's description when they're slandering him. Like, how is that possible? Right? So now the ayah continues, or sorry, the next one, ayah number 23. وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ بِالْأُفُقِ الْمُبِينِ. Um, so you guys know the story of Isra wal Mi'raj, the Prophet's night journey, right? When he went to Masjid al-Aqsa, then he went to then he went to the seven heavens. He seen Musa, Isa, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he went seen all these angels. So all of the different Anbiya that came prior to him. And then he eventually met Allah, right? And then he came back down all in a day or in a night. So Allah is saying that it definitely did happen. So walaqad is similar to inna, and it's just emphasis in Arabic. Ra'ahu means seen him.
Isa.
Yeah, means seen him. And then ufuq, you could say means the horizon. And then mubin just means clear. So it's in English you say, and he surely seen him on the clear horizon, meaning the sky, right? So he's saying that the Prophet, peace upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, clearly saw him,
Awesome.
meaning Jibreel, on the horizon when he came to, bring him around the night, bring him on the night journey. He's saying that he definitely seen him. And it was not a folklore or some type of a lie, a folk tale. And he says, continuing now with the next ayah, وَمَا هُوَ عَلَى الْغَيْبِ بِضَنِينٍ. He says, وَمَا هُوَ عَلَى الْغَيْبِ بِضَنِينٍ. And he says, so you can say that ضَنِين, you can say miserly or stingy. So, so basically it's saying that when the Prophet went for this night journey and he's seen these things that are in the unseen world, right? He told the people what he's seen, and he wasn't withholding or holding back any information. He was clear, and precise, and he wasn't lying when he described everything that he's seen. And Allah is saying this because, as you guys know, sometimes people will tell a story and they'll hide information, or they'll say something slick in order to kind of beat around the bush and not fully explain what they are trying to, or what they should explain, right? They're trying to lie and get away with certain things. So Allah is defending the Prophet once again. He's saying that he's not like that. He's telling you surely, most definitely, without a doubt, what he's seen for sure. Like, and I think in Urdu you say Bayshak. It's just undoubtedly, right?
Yeah.
So it says 5 minutes. I think we can finish the next couple ayats, I think, inshallah.
Okay.
You guys are okay. It says now, وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So now similar to the ayat before, or a couple ahead a little bit. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ. So Allah is saying that it is definitely from a noble messenger. And Allah is now negating the opposite. Because if it's from some people, you can have two opinions, right? It's either from a noble messenger, a truth teller, or an evil man who's lying. So Allah is saying that it's definitely from a noble messenger. وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ. And it's most definitely not from an accursed devil. So shaitan just means devil or Satan. Rajim means accursed. And وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْل just means and it is not the speech of, right? If you guys are interested, I can break it down a little bit. Uh so huwa means it. It's a pronoun meaning it. And then ma wa ma, so what just means and. And the ma means in English, it's basically just a word or
And now
a word used to negate something, right? So and it is not. And then
and now
and then the qawl just means speech, and the little ba with the there, the b that's connected to the qawl. Let me see if I can use my mouse. Sorry, 1 second. Right here, the little ba here, this is connected to ma in the sense in Arabic grammar, right? It's basically just saying that that how do you put it? The ma, just like I said, just describes negation, simply put, right? Without getting into too much detail and stuff. So now the next ayah is فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ. So where are you going? Right? So Allah is asking, no, as human beings, we can say that we metaphorically run, because obviously nobody can run off of earth, right? They're saying that we run in the sense of we get so busy with our lives, trying to make money, getting married, doing different things, this and that. So Allah is saying that, that you have a Quran here, and it surely came from a noble messenger. Allah is saying that the book it's coming from me. Nobody's lying to any of you. So why are you running away from the book? Why are you absconding from the book? Why are you ignoring the book when they're trying to guide you? Where are you going? Why are you running away from it? So that's what Allah is saying. So now next ayah is, I translate, yeah. So for aina means I, like so where. Tadabun just means you are going. So where are you going? The next ayah now is in huwa illa dhikrul lil alamin. So it says in huwa in English you could translate it as
not in.
yeah, yeah, not in. You say or it is not, right?
Yeah.
But illa means but. Dhikrun means you could say a reminder or an admonition. Lil alamin, for the entire world, right? Um, so it is in huwa, it's really just all Arabic grammar and stuff. But to make it make sense in English, you just simply say that it is not. Um, it is like it's nothing except or but a reminder for the entire world. Illa means like but or except, kind of those type of words, right? Now the next ayat continues. There's two more ayat. Liman sha'a minkum ay yastaqim. So liman means for whomever. Sha'a means wills. Minkum means from amongst you. Ay yastaqim. So ay yastaqim means to seek or to walk down the straight path. So Allah is connecting it now, right? So one is saying, so where are all of you guys going? The speech that is here, it is nothing except a reminder for those for the world, and for those liman sha'a, and for those who wish minkum from amongst you, uh, that want to walk the straight path, right? Like you see how it's all kind of flowing, right? It's pretty beautiful the way it's all flowing together. So now the next ayah is وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. So Allah saying that وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ, but you can never will, except إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ Allah, except that Allah wills. And Allah is, or not and Allah is, but when you say except that Allah wills, and then He, you can say in brackets, is the Lord, Rabb of Alameen, of the world.
Oh, no words.
Yeah. So it's basically saying, that whomever wants you to go down the straight path, like, you can try. But Allah is saying that it's only Allah that allows you to go down the straight path. As Allah says numerous times in the Quran that He's the one who guides people, right? Like that it's only Allah that guides. An example is the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib. The Prophet was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was yearning, like, begging him, please, 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 just become Muslim, become Muslim. But he never did, right? Because it's only that Allah that guides, right? And Allah obviously can let people loose. Uh, May Allah always protect us and guide us. I mean, so that is yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the end of this of Surah Takwir. And then next week we'll start with Suratul Infatarat, inshallah. Or Infitar is another way of putting it. You guys have any questions or anything like that? Or if not,
Mm.
then that
Enough clear. Jazakallah.
oh wait, yeah, okay, guys, inshallah. All right, we'll see you guys next week. I'll go to the masjid next week, inshallah, for better lighting and stuff.